Hey everybody, this is Jim Lee from ALEC 202, and I'm making a video this morning to explain path goal theory, which is our leadership theory we're going to look at for the week. So this can be one of the more complicated theories to kind of understand and how it's implemented. So hopefully this video makes it a little clearer, and then I'll do some application and illustrating with some leadership that we're seeing in the coronavirus situation, how some of them use path goal theory. So here we go. I'm going to try to just briefly describe it, explain it, illustrate it, and then have a question for discussion at the end. So, okay, path goal theory at its core is leadership that motivates followers towards specific goals. So you as a leader, you have followers in an organization. It might be at work, it might be in a fraternity, sorority, and maybe you're involved in a dance marathon. Okay, you have leaders and they want to motivate those followers to accomplish the goal. This theory argues that there are certain kinds of leadership which does that better. And in particular, they base it on, this particular theory is based on motivational principles connected to expectancy theory, and then this relationship that we all experience and know when we're in it. What kind of leader is it? Who are the followers? What do they want? And what is the circumstances, the context in the work setting? And path goal theory really tries to blend those as a way of explaining how motivation works. So let's go to the theory. Now this is the expectancy theory part. What it argues is that if you understand the goal and the reward, and you understand the path to get there, and some of the obstacles are out of the way, and I provide the right kind of support, that you will achieve, you'll be more motivated, and you will accomplish more. Hence, that's why a lot of companies will spend time very clearly defining their vision statement, the mission statement, the reward. They want that to be clear. And then they talk about, here's our strategic plan, these 5 steps, 4 steps. They want that to be clear. And then it's figuring out, okay, what do the followers, who are the followers that are working for me are? What are the tasks? And so how can I provide some support once the goal is clear, the path is clear? What support can I provide? Here's where the path goal theory gets a little bit more complicated. In terms of providing this support so that you're highly motivated, again, the goal is clear, the path is clear, now the support is going to be provided. That support is based upon 3 things. The task characteristics, the follower characteristics, and what behaviors I provide. So let's break that down. Again, here we talk about the follower characteristics. Now, put yourself in this group, and you think about your job or the organization you're involved in. Do you have a need for affiliation? I want to know my coworkers. I want to connect with the people in our organization. Do you prefer structure? Things are clearly defined, or wide open? Kind of set your own plan and structure. Desire for control, is it internal or external? And here's how this works. Do you like to be the one that kind of controls how this process works, or do you like to be in an environment that's highly structured and controlled? Highly structured and controlled would be external control. If you like to be in control and kind of set the pace yourself, that's internal control. And then perception of ability. It's important for you to know how well you can do it. For example, some of you like to take classes where you know you could do well. That's your perception of ability. Others of you don't care. You want to take a class for what you're going to learn. Okay, so what path goal theory argues is that the followers are usually some combination of these 4. Needing affiliation, needing structure, what kind of control do they like, and the perception of ability. Okay, that's follower characteristics. Task characteristics. Okay, And they argue that for the most part, tasks fall into 4 significant categories. The task is very unclear and ambiguous. We're not sure what we need to do. The assignment, it needs a little more creative thinking, or the task is highly repetitive. Perhaps you, as someone working in manufacturing or doing the same thing over and over again. Weak formal authority. That means that the higher up you go, the workers underneath have a lot of freedom. There's not a strong top-down formal authority. For example, in the coronavirus situation, for example, in China, they have a strong formal authority. The government cracking down is easier to do than our government cracking down, where we have weak formal authority, we're very independent, and people have the freedom and the desire to do what they want, more so. So we have less formal authority. Other countries have more formal authority. And then non-supportive weak group. In other words, is there a sense that everybody does the same thing and there's good group norms, or everybody does what they want? Now in the United States, different states do what they want, communities do what they want, schools do what they want. So we don't have a strong group norm, although sometimes there is a certain peer pressure for people to act a certain way. But when you look at the task characteristics, they're usually, these 4 factors affect them, and leaders need to know, are the tasks unclear, repetitive, what kind of authority do I have, how is our supportive norms and expectations. So you put that in here and develop. How does this work? The leaders then are directive or supportive or participatory, involving people, or they focus on the challenge. They do one of those 4 based upon what the followers, what they're like, are they in here, and the task characteristics here. And that provides, then they pick the support they need. And if the goal is clear and the path is clear, now we're ready to provide the support. We go back to our chart up here. If the goal is clear, the path is clear, then it's the support that removes the obstacles and encourages people to get there. So path goal theory additionally put together a chart to help. So the chart goes, if the tasks are ambiguous and unclear and kind of complex, and the followers like things to be very clear and like an authoritarian structure, then the leader should provide guidance, be direct, give kind of some psychological encouragement structure, but be very clear on what's expected and lay it out. If, on the other hand, the task is kind of ambiguous and it's unclear, unstructured, where it's a kind of a wide open, do what you want kind of environment, and the employees like to have control, they like to have things clear, they like to have an input in what's going on, then the leader would be very participatory, involve them in making the decisions, so that even though the task is unclear, they get their need met for control, they're going to be more motivated. So again, the goal is providing the motivation and support to pursue and accomplish the goal. And this chart helps you show what kind of motivation or what kind of behavior the leader should provide. So you might look at this chart and say, boy, I don't know if I like how this works, or maybe you wouldn't agree with it. So for example, I've noticed in some of the coronavirus leadership, when we're talking about the challenge of getting a vaccine or getting a medicine that will take care of this, the doctors, some of our country leaders talk about the challenge of it, high expectations, we can do this, we got to excel, we're going to get this vaccine, we're going to get this medicine, because it's challenging, it's complex, it's not super clear, and they want people to be challenged and encouraged that we're going to do this. On the other hand, when things are unclear and ambiguous, we're not exactly sure the best way to social distance. How many rules should we follow? Should we go to work? When should we not go anywhere? When should we stay home? Okay, then, and people want clear instructions right now. A lot of people want to be told exactly what they can do and not do. Okay, so the leaders try to be as direct as they can and as supportive as they can. At the same time, down here, they provide involvement of state leaders, local leaders, because the task is unclear. It's not, we're learning as we go in this thing, and the states and local leaders have a need for control, clarity. They want to be able to help the people locally where they are. So they're involved in making the decisions. They're involved, and so it's group efforts. So regardless of how good you think the leadership has been or what political side you fall on, that doesn't matter. I was just trying to illustrate how they are using some of path goal theory in terms of how we're being led in this coronavirus process. So this has as far as strengths, it has a useful theoretical framework. It includes motivation, and it's very practical. The criticisms, it's a little bit complex. There's not a lot of empirical research that shows and supports it works. It really fails to take into account the relationship between the leader and follower. It's pretty one way. It's all what the leader does. The leader looks at the followers, the tasks, and then adjusts their behavior, and that's it. It doesn't account for gender differences, and it assumes leaders can communicate really well. So that is path goal theory. Now, I will have a discussion page for path goal theory, and I'll have a question on that discussion page that follows up from this video. You can go to that, answer that question, and hopefully this information makes path goal theory a little bit clearer as you're doing your quiz and discussion and reflection. So, okay, great. Have a good week.